Right, so I've got my little seals from Detroit. I only need 4 of these. These go between the Jake heads, between the masters and the drone to supply oil. So yeah, you have 2 each side. I got 8 just so in case I got to do another engine. They're $15 each, so they're not cheap. You could probably use a bit of fuel line and cut it pretty square or something, but I got the proper thing just so they don't leak. Next time I'll probably cheap out and yeah, make my own out of some fuel line or something, but for now it's getting the proper thing. And then I've got all the Jake seals, the solenoid seals here. I'm sure there's probably some crime against using Cat parts on a Detroit, but Cat had them in stock and they're like 15 minutes from here, and Detroit's in Melbourne, so just the easiest thing to do. So I'm going to take these rocker covers off, pull the solenoids out, fit those seals, and then put the little seals in between the master and the drone on each side. So I've fitted the solenoid seals and the little jumper screw seals to the other side. Now I'll do this side. There's not much to them. I just thought I'd give you a bit of a rundown. So we take the wire off the solenoid and don't drop it down the oil gallery into the sump. Then you're supposed to have a special tool to undo this solenoid, but I don't have one and haven't had a chance to make one yet, but so I use a pair of multi-grips and just crack it loose. It doesn't do too much damage unless they're really tight. And these are meant to be O-rings, and they're hard as a rock. Like there's no rubber about them. They're like solid. They just break apart. So I'm just going to clean the oil off that. And so there's 3. There's one at the end, one there, and one there. Make sure you get that end one out. It's usually stuck up in the master in the hole up there, so you have to get that out, or otherwise you'll double up on them and it probably won't do up, or I don't know, I haven't done it yet to find out, but yeah, I'll go clean that up and then we'll get these old ones off and the new ones on. So you can see how, if I can get this off, how crispy they are. So that's meant to be rubber and it just falls apart. So there's been a little bit of moisture in this one. You can see on the screens there's a little bit of a rust, but I just give it a decent clean and the screen should stop anything significant getting in there and blocking up the solenoid. For some reason I struggled to get this middle one off before. On the other side, yeah. You sort of got to break it apart to be able to get it off, it seems. Just because it's so hard. Rock solid. There we go. So it's just coming apart in pieces. So these, I don't know if these would have sealed at all if I had have left them. They may not have done anything. They might have just bypassed internally. This is very precision. Just trying not to stab myself with the seal pick because I'll get emotional. So tight. Make sure you get all the broken crispy bits out. It's all pretty basic this. It's only if you've never done it before, you probably wouldn't know it was an O-ring if you didn't look at a parts diagram or you hadn't done it before. Because it does look like part of it. Right, then what I do is just stick the new ones on. So it just goes in order from biggest to smallest, so you can see that's what they should be like. So like the biggest one on, it's got a little shoulder that I try and sit it over. It takes a bit to get it sort of over it, but I don't know if it matters or not, but I sit it over it just so that it has a better chance at working. And then the middle ring, I don't know if they're all white, but in this case it's white. Stick that over and that just goes in that little groove. Make sure it's sitting in there because otherwise you won't get it in the housing. So go around and just make sure it's in there. And then the last one, I just stick that up in the housing and push it in as far as it can go, up against the back, and screw the solenoid in. If anyone else wants to do theirs. I imagine all the Jake solenoids are the same for all engines. I have no idea. I could be wrong, considering that Cat, Hino, Detroit, Cummins, they all had these in stock. I imagine you can get these from anywhere. But there's, I'll show you the part numbers. So that's the first one, the big one. That's the middle one. And there is that's the bottom one. And then these are Detroit only, the jumper screw seals. Where's the part number on that? If any Detroit should have them. Part number is 1332. And that's all you need to reseal them apart from the slave pistons. They're different seals, but I haven't done those yet, so I may still need to do them, but we'll get to that if I have to. Right, and then these jumper seals, you just undo the lock nut, wind them all the way in. They won't go all the way. It's only just enough to get the seal out. And then grab it with the seal pick and get it out. These ones actually aren't too bad. It was only one that was really bad on the other side. It was pretty much falling apart completely. And then you just poke the new one down in there. It's just the right gap, and then make sure it goes in all the way around. I'm making it look difficult now. So, once you get those seals in, you do these jumper screws up till they've compressed the little O-ring, and you just feel them contact the surface of the housing here, and then you back it off a third of a turn. So go to tight and roughly a third of a turn back, and then do this lock nut up, and that must just, apparently if you do them up all the way they can break, so there must be a little bit of flex between them. So just like that. Do the same with that one. That's good. So I think these part numbers and stuff I've given you is right for 71 series and 92. I've never had a 53, so I don't know if they're the same or not. But if you got a V8, you obviously need 2 more seals per engine and 4 sets of seals for the Jake solenoids. Just like that, and that's done. So now pretty much I'm going to put the steering box on the chassis, and then the engine's ready to go in. I'm going to leave the rocker covers loose so when I start it I can check all these fuel lines for leaks, and I can manually press the jakes and make sure there's no oil leaks, and it's all going to work, and yeah, we'll go from there. The engine's ready to go in. I've cleaned that up. I put some anti-seize on the spline and the fork. Grease, anti-seize, same thing. These are the engine mount blocks. They sit on top of those rounds, and then the engine sits on top of that, and then these ones go underneath it, and a bolt goes through all of them and clamps it. And then got 4 of these semicircle rubber steel engine mounts. That's the part number there. These are aftermarket, but they're the same thing. They're Gaff brand 11535. The engine is hooked up, and we've got a come along on there so we can adjust the angle of it. So yeah, we're going to try and put it in. Just got to put the transmission in gear so that I can turn the engine and try and line the spline up. So I've got everything right this way. I pulled out the input shaft I used to line it up, got the release bearing the right way, hopefully. So as long as these D-shackles and slings aren't in the way, which they may be, probably not ideal, but might have to move them. We'll see how we go. So the engine's sitting in there. It wasn't too bad once I put the engine mounts on the right way. I didn't realise, and I'm surprised no one picked it up, but the engine mounts have a left and right so that they clear the circle bits where the rubbers sit on the chassis. So yeah, once I flipped them around, it went in good. So I'm very happy with how it's looking. So now the main thing that I'm going to do now is probably all these old crappy brittle fuel lines and stuff up here. I'm going to make them, use the reusable ends and make new ones, because originally these filter housings in the Louisville were bolted here. So now the original lines aren't long enough anyway, and I don't want to use the ones off the motor out of this because they've been sitting for so long they'll probably fall apart with fuel going through them. So yeah, I'm going to make new ones a bit longer to reach where they need to go. I've got a few things like this to change that were still as the Louisville was. That's obviously not going to work, so I'll see what the other truck had, the other engine had, and swap it all over. I got to do up my engine mount bolts. They're loose, need to find bolts for that. But I'll do the hoses first before once the radiator's in, it'll be a pain because there's a few down there, oil lines and stuff. So that's the plan. It's getting there, but I'll start working on these hoses and then I'll do the engine mounts up, and yeah, it's looking good. I'm super impressed so far. So I'm just playing around with these fuel lines. The Detroit uses this style of reusable fitting on each end, or the Louisville, sorry. So you can see that's a hose there. It goes reusable there, and I don't know what you'd call it, male each end. The Kenworth filter housings have these fittings on them, female ones there, and then males going to the engine. And the difference is with these, you normally hold there and undo there and it comes out, but these ones here don't have another nut, so you have to do them up on a fitting. So I've got it done up on the filter housing here, and that holds the flare part, and then you can unwind this off of there like that, because they almost look like they're not reusable. But I think they actually are. Yeah, I think so. Just want to make sure you got it done up tight enough to actually clamp it. So what's that? It basically has the collar on the outside, and then the hose tail is going up through the middle, and it's clamping the hose in there basically. So, and that's how you can, where a normal hose you have to put it in a crimping press and actually crimp it around the hose, where these, put that over, do that up the center, and it will, that's what makes it able to be reused with new hose pretty much. Then you go put the hose in the vise, hold it there and undo that nut off there. It's a good thing I'm changing these because I barely even touched that one and it's just falling apart. So that's the nut. There'd be a proper name for it, don't ask me what it is because I don't know. And then that comes off there. Actually, I'll clean it up with a wire brush, wire wheel, and then I'll get the new hose that I've got and can screw it on. So that's all that is. It just goes in there. You got a flare that seals on the brass, that and that. Screws in there like that, and you can make new ones. Easy. So I found one more thing that's a little bit different between the Kenworth and the Louisville. The Louisville returns the fuel through the back of the head through this elbow here. It goes down in there at the back of the head. Whereas the Kenworth has two lines that come from the front of the head over into here. That's one line there, and the other one went in there and back to the tank. So the Louisville one had a jumper line joining the two at the front of the head, and then it both come out the back. I don't know if it makes a difference, but I'm just putting it back how the Kenworth was with the two lines. So I'm just going to put this little plug in, just a quarter drive. I don't know what size that is, 3/8 plug maybe. Put that in and should be good. So the motor is sitting in there. Went in pretty easy once I switched the engine mounts around, because I had them backwards, left to right. Didn't pay much attention to that, and none of you guys picked it up. So pretty surprised. I thought someone would have noticed. I had one guy say that that I didn't have the other parts to the mounts, but no one picked up their own backwards. So that's the first thing that I've spotted, I think, that I've done wrong so far. But yeah, I swapped them left to right, and it was all good. It's just cut out slightly different to clear the circular parts on the chassis where the mounts sit. But other than that, I have done all the fuel lines. I've done all the fuel lines from the fuel filter forwards. I think it's 7 or 8 hoses. I've got to cable tie them up and tidy them up. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with how they look. I think this size is called -6. These are the first time I've used reusable fittings. I think that's -6 and that's -8, the bigger stuff. I don't know why, but I had to shave off the blue cloth coating for the outside ferrule nut bit to go over. It just wouldn't go over. This is 1.6 mil bigger diameter than the original stuff that was on this, but then when I got to the -8, it went over fine. So I don't know if I was doing something wrong or if there's different hose with different outside diameters but the same ID, but I don't know, it worked. So I'm not too worried about it. Someone will know more than I do, but should be all right. So now that that's done, I'm going to go along and do all these water outlets, put in the right fittings for the heater hoses and all that. Down here, that got some oil hoses to do. I've got to redo the turbo oil feed pipe because it's crunchy as. That's that one. It's a bit too stiff for my liking. It doesn't have a heap of pressure, but I'd prefer to redo it to save any leaks down the track. And then you got, these are water supply lines to the compressor. I'll redo those ones. And then that'll be all the lines. I'm pretty much redoing any hose on the engine because I don't want to, I'm trying to eliminate having as many dramas as I can. I changed that fuel line up here, the return line down there. I put a plug in there. So now that both heads return into that right hand side filter, whereas originally it would have returned to the tank out the back of the head. Sorry, they return to here. They both return into here and then go back to the tank. But yeah, it's all coming along. It's looking really good. Don't know if I'm going to be done in time for Geelong Truck Show, but it's still the goal. I think if it all goes to plan, I don't have too many issues. I think I can make it, but we'll see how we go. I still got to fabricate a couple of radiator pipes that are missing and fill in the blanks there. But all what I'm doing now is I didn't pull apart because it was all in bits in the box, so I don't know if there's anything else missing or if I'm putting it back together how it should be, because I don't have a Detroit in a W model or anything, so I don't have a great deal to compare to, so it takes me a little bit to figure out where everything goes, but it's going really good. I'm super happy with how it looks, and yeah, it just makes me want to do the rest of it now, but it's getting there. So I'm going to go do some editing and get another video up for you guys, and we'll get back to work on this and get it running in the next couple of days, hopefully. I've got all my hoses almost done, apart from a couple that I didn't have the right size for. So I've done all the fuel lines. Hopefully I've done them right. It's a bit of a mess around here, there's stuff everywhere. But yeah, I've done all these. I don't have dash 4. So the way this reusable fittings and hose works is it's just like dash 4, dash 5, dash 6, dash 8. I don't know if there is a dash 5, but anyway, dash 6, dash 8, and it goes up to, I don't know, 30 something. But this is dash 8, this is dash 4, dash 6, dash 4, dash 8, and then for an example, I'm getting some to do that big power steering supply hose, that's dash 16 I think. If you ever have to do them, they're on the fittings, it will usually say what they are. It's a bit hard to see, that one's painted over. There's one somewhere where you can see, but that says JIC. Yeah, I'll find one that says dash something and show you. But yeah, that's how it's going at the moment. So I didn't record all of that because it was pretty boring. It's a bit relaxing doing all the hoses, but you don't want to watch me do. I've done like 14 or 15 so far, and it's just very repetitive. So I've put all these bolt-ons. I didn't even realise I had this, so that's not painted, but I'll touch that up at the end. I've put in all the different fittings, which I definitely should have done before I painted the engine, and especially down in there. It's a nightmare trying to get down in there, even with the radiator still out. So next time I'll make sure I swap everything before I paint it, so it's all done, because it did take a long time getting to some of them, longer than I would have liked. But yeah, definitely looks good with the new hoses, and they're all so brittle, and yeah, most of them just tore apart taking them off, so it was definitely worth it. I've got a big pile, I've got a few more to go. Power steering, those two coolant ones. There's one that goes to the top of the radiator, and I've got to like cable tie them all together or do something, P-clamps, just so they're all sturdy. So yeah, now since I've pretty much finished with most of the boring stuff, I'm going to start bolting bits back on. So I'll get the power steering reservoir on, and then I'll have to make more hoses. But I can do the pressure and the return. I just can't do the feed line to the pump because I'm waiting on hose for that. So that's where it's at the moment. I'm almost ready to start hooking things up. After that, I'll start hooking the wires up, heater hoses, and everything coming from the cab, and then radiator in, mount the Horton solenoid. Yeah, just sort out where all these wires go and everything. Then once the radiator's in and all hooked up, then I'm going to start it. I've still got to make a bottom radiator hose out of something, but I'll work that out. It's getting there. Fairly behind, but keep plugging away at it and see how much we can get done. You can see on this ferrule it's got 8, so that's a -8. I'll put in a little photo of what size ID hose that correlates to. I think this is 1332 ID. So yeah, generally, so they're pretty hard to see sometimes if they're rusty or had a hard time, but generally somewhere on it will say what dash it is, and that'll give you a rough idea of what size hose you need. But once you do a couple, you get the feel for it and you sort of know which size it is. So I'm just going to make this one up. This is the pressure line from the pump to the steering box, and then all I've got left on that is to do the feed line when I get the big -16 supply hose. I've got this pressure line made up for the steering box here. So this is the last one I'm doing for the night tonight. And then I'll get back on it tomorrow. And I should have the correct size hose for the supply line and the little coolant lines and stuff. So yeah, I'm getting closer to putting the radiator in, which I'm happy about. Because that'll be another big step forward. I've got this last power steering pressure line made. Well, not last one, I've got the supply line to go, the big one, but I should have that tomorrow. And then once I've got that, that'll be the power steering done. And then I'll make the little coolant lines. And after that, I think I'm going to put the radiator in, because then I can make up the radiator pipes that I've got to make. And I can start that. That's a big step forward. What else? I've got to put the clutch rod on, adjust the clutch, all the wiring, the throttle linkage, the I can't remember the switch that goes in the governor for the Jakes. What else? I think that's all I've got to do to start it. So yeah, it'll be good. I'm getting closer. It's taken a while, but I'm sure it'll all be worth it. So, right, there we go. I've got to cable tie all these up, so they're still a bit messy and not exactly how they're going to be, but they look pretty good. I'm pretty happy with them. there's a bit of a look around. The place is a mess. I've been just going at it and chucking tools everywhere, and yeah, it's been a bit of a nightmare. So, but it's all coming together one bit at a time. So that's it for tonight. We'll be back into it tomorrow. And yeah, I'm losing words because I'm ready for bed, I think. But yeah, no, it's all good. It's dark. It's rained all day. So it's gone well. I will be back tomorrow. I just raided the lower radiator hose off the white S2. I'm going to make a proper one for this W model in here, but I really want to get it going for the weekend for the Geelong Truck Show. It's Tuesday now and I've got 2 days in the truck and dogs, so it doesn't leave me much time to get it ready if I want to go Saturday. So that's why I'm raiding this. I'm just putting it together so I can start it and get it running. You know how this was an Agi when there's sand in the bottom radiator hose, and yes, I drained it on the ground, but it was only water and there wasn't an ounce of coolant in that, so it won't hurt the ground. So I've pieced it all together. I've got my exhaust on, radiator's sitting there. I've got to put this bottom hose on and bolt it down. I've got to tighten these stays. I've got the throttle on here. That all works. I've still got to do the air intake and the compressor intake. I'm going to use the old upper radiator pipes just for this weekend. Unless something happens and I don't make it, then all this is for nothing. But I've made most of these new pipes now. I ran out on a couple, so I never ended up getting that supply hose. They didn't have the right size, and I ran out of dash 4. That's why one line's black. But other than that, it's all together, I think. I've got wires on the starter motor. I don't know if they're right, but I put them where I think they go, so we'll see what happens. But I didn't record too much of that because it was just all little fiddly stuff and trying to figure out where things go. So I had a few things on and off 3-4 times trying to get them ran in the right way, where they should be. But I'm gonna clean this bottom hose out and put that on, and then I've just got to make up a pipe that goes from that to the water pump that also has to have a barb in it to give that a spot to go. That goes up the top. Then I've got one other little line up there that goes to the top of the thermostat housing, I think. But other than that, and then I just got to do fuel filters, oil filters, top it up, fill it up with oil, and then put batteries in it, and it might be ready to go. But that's where we're at the moment anyway. So radiator's in, all the cooling system's complete except for that lower hose, which Alan said he's still got that pipe in the shed, so I'm going to get that off him. And I've got one more hose to do up the top. That goes from there to the top of the radiator up there, and then that coolant pipe completes that there with, and that drawback hose goes on there. So that's all done. I just got to tighten up those stays up there. I've got to change filters. I've got a few more things to do before I can start it, but yeah, exhaust is on. It's really getting close now. There's a few things left to do. I haven't recorded everything because I'm in a little bit of a rush, and it's just time consuming trying to find what goes where, looking for nuts and bolts. One thing I need to do is get a proper nut and bolt rack that's actually got everything in it, because I spend a lot of time walking around looking for bolts. But it's looking really good now with that radiator in there. Those coolant pipes look pretty average, but like I said, they're just in here for this weekend. Hopefully it goes. If not, you're gonna watch me crack the sads if anything major's wrong that I can't sort out. So hopefully not. I think I've done everything right, so that's all I can do really. Yeah, it's getting there. I don't know if you guys are going to see it run in this video though, because I've had a look and it's getting pretty long. So might be, if I do get it running and driving, that might be its own video the week after, much to probably everyone's disgust. But it's been a pretty big video getting this engine in and everything hooked up. Really time consuming, so see how we go. It's getting there, not long now, but I'm going home, so that's it for tonight. We'll be back tomorrow. As always guys, thanks for watching. Your continued support is awesome, and it really keeps me motivated, along with the idea of getting the truck going and driving it, of course. But you guys are awesome, so I really appreciate it. Put in a lot of hours this week, so I didn't even do an outro for this video. I was just too into it and just kept going and plugging away at it. So no outro, but so just do a quick recording voiceover now. But yeah, you can see we got that all in without too much drama. There's the next video. You'll see I had a few issues, but we got most of them sorted out. So yeah, so stay tuned for next week, which will be the first startup in the drive, which I know everyone's been waiting for. I posted a little bit of a spoiler in a post on YouTube and Instagram. So if you want a little spoiler, you can go check that out. But anyway, thanks for watching. It's been a big video, big week. So yeah, I'm gonna get this video up so you guys can watch it, and I will see you on the next one. Thanks again.